Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a great guest on today. As Chief Creative Officer at Bruce Mao Design, she likes to operate without a rigid structure and follows the ethos that there is no right way when it comes to creativity. Please join me in welcoming Laura Stein. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
I am.
Great. Question one, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
So I oversee both the strategy and the creative work that we produce in the studio. And that means that I'm sometimes deeper into the work and acting more as a creative director across the brand work that we do, signage and wayfinding, environmental graphics, motion design, etc. And sometimes I'm a little bit more removed and working with a creative director who is working a little bit more deeply with the different designers that we have on different kinds of projects.
Great. And a note for the audience, if you guys are interested in the big 2025 episodes, please check out the episode with Kareem Rashid. Question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
I think that I'm not sure how different it makes me, but I'm not a design school graduate. I'm an art school graduate, and I went to an art school that was pretty heavily conceptual. And I did that for fine art, and I studied sculpture and drawing. And I was really inspired by a lot of the conceptual artists that use a lot of type. So I love Barbara Kruger, Jenny Holzer, and Lorna Simpson, and artists like that who kind of have a really strong, powerful idea, but combine images and words together, or just words, to create something really strong. And I feel like that background in that work uh, and that study actually made me a better designer once I got my um, I guess more graphic skills up to speed because I was always thinking about what's the idea, what's the big concept behind all of this.
Nice, I like
Um,
it. Yeah,
Go ahead.
great. Question three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
I really love visual ideas. I love it when you can see something and you get a message from something really clearly and crisply. I love I love making things and I love actually being in a team where people are making things. I Back when I was thinking, oh, I think maybe I'll be a designer. I In my mind I was sitting in a little room by myself making things, which seemed very exciting at the time. But now that I work with teams and lots of different people, uh, that's part of what I love as well. I love the different inputs that people have and the different perspectives and working together to make something that feels really powerful.
Perfect. Some people struggle with number four, and the question is, what does your future look like?
Well, I hope that my future is uh, kind of a lot like the present. I imagine, with everything that's happening, that I will have more tools at my disposal for my future. And I also hope that my future is a 4-day work week where I get to spend more time just kind of dreaming and thinking and being creative. And that would then influence the 4 days where I'm really focused on making stuff and output.
Perfect. And five, we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Yeah, that's an interesting and tricky question. I was thinking about that. I live in Toronto. I work in Toronto, and I work in so within the context of Canada. And I think there's a maybe a bit more of a humanist perspective than some places. Um, I don't know if that's a little pie in the sky, but I do feel like there's I guess also there's a very multicultural aspect to Toronto where we have all these different languages spoken and perspectives here. And I feel like um, listening to other people's perspectives and bringing them into the work is an important part of what we do.
Great. So six, you're starting from the beginning. What advice do you give your former younger self?
So this is a great question. I thought about this for a while and I thought about when I was younger and always trying to make the best work I could, partly for myself, but also because I wanted people to think I was a good designer. And so my advice to my younger self is don't think of every project as a kind of assessment of your skills and value, but think of it as an experiment. So think about it really just being about something for yourself. You can experiment and try things and not feel so worried about other people's judgment.
Great. And what's a day in your life like?
Um, my perfect day is that I start by going running. I might take my dog out and then I get a really nice cup of coffee. And I'm either at home or I'm at work. And I'm doing a whole bunch of things. So typically I'll meet with teams and I'll look at, everything from what's the big idea and gesture here and how do we articulate it. I like spending time figuring out what the verbal articulation of something is too. To looking at something and saying, okay, that leading is really too loose. Let's tidy that up. So kind of like big idea to the details that end up making the design. So uh, I also think about new business and work with my partner at BMD to think about what kind of jobs we want to take on and how to answer certain kinds of RFPs and a whole host of different kinds of administrative stuff as well.
Great. And eight is around lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
I am not great at formal learning in currently. I think I would love to sort of carve out more time for some actual classes, but typically I really love to talk to people and understand what they're doing and um, what kind of tools they're using and how they approach things. And um, that's kind of my method these days is really just having conversations.
Great. And nine is about tools. Do you use both digital and analog tools?
I do use both digital and analog, and I've actually come to a kind of horrible um, collapsing of those two things where I sketch with Keynote, which is quite horrible. I've come to a moment where I cut and paste and move things around and kind of create weird collages using Keynote, and I fear that some of my team are taking on that very weird and bad habit. Um, Sometimes I don't know whether to have it's kind of like a conflation of my notebook and my and any other kind of digital tool like an InDesign or something.
Great. And halfway number 10, work-life balance, life-work balance. How do you deal with it?
Very tricky. Most important thing for me is to be able to go on a run, clear my head, and feel like I can actually approach the day with a bit of clarity. Because I think that the hardest part, there's time, of course, but there's also the kind of too much stuff in your head problem sometimes. So being able to clear your head and then enjoy the time that you have that's not working in a kind of unworried, unencumbered way.
Nice. And if you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
Um, I am currently really interested in urban design and landscape design within a kind of urban context. I love learning how cities work. I love how learning why they don't work. I think it's really interesting to think about the way the physical things that make cities more beautiful and more resilient, especially. So I think that would be at this moment, my kind of sliding door job.
Great. And what would you not like to do with your career?
I would not like to do a lot of things that are require a lot of finicky detail work and math.
Mhm. And do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
I have a big poster on my wall that is an Anthony Burrell poster that says in big letters, as he does, I like it. What is it? And I love why I wanted the poster was that it has such a great positivity and sense of, I guess, invention and possibility. And it also feels like it's very kind of playful. I feel like that sums up my approach in a nice way. So that's a little bit of my mantra.
Cool. And how about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Within the design context, as we're making guidelines, I really dislike it when people say we've really got to dummy proof these guidelines because I think, why are you hiring dummies? Don't do that. Hire good designers and you don't have to dummy proof anything.
Nice. And you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
I have chosen chill. I told my husband this and he gave me a little bit of an eyebrow raise, but I'm going with it. Chill.
And what keeps you up at night?
Uh, this was an easy one. Climate change.
Final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
I wouldn't say I'm actively chasing it. I'm kind of, I guess, lurking behind it more than anything. But I'd love to move to Norway. I want to live in Norway, and be close to hiking and fjords and all sorts of beauty.
What inspires you?
Uh, I love art. I love going to museums to see art, so galleries to see art in these kind of more formal structures. I like the kind of presentation of it and the curation of it. But I also love encountering weird stuff that people make and put out on the street. So I love looking at posters or weird random stickers that people put up, or, a little kind of tiny sculpture that somebody's hidden underneath a set of stairs. When I do go running, I always have my camera because I always feel like there's something interesting that looks at just people making stuff and putting it out into the world in a cool and kind of random way.
Nice. And last couple here. Any advice you'd like to share?
Um, I think I'm going to go back to my advice to my former self, I guess not my former self, my younger self, which is don't think of every project as an assessment. Think of your projects as an experiment.
Great. And finally, number 20. How can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
I am not super active on most social media, I would say. I am more of a LinkedIn person, but following the Bruce Mao Design Instagram is a great way to see what we're doing and what we're up to.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining today. It's great to connect the East and West Coast of Canada. Glad to do this and glad to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Thomas.